Here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
We are back with another UFC card, this time UFC Vegas 80, Dawson versus Green, live and back at the Apex. You know, the main event nobody really asks for, but it's here, right? Most fight night cards we are used to now. You know, the main event's not always great, but overall there's some decent fights on this card. I'll be breaking down the main card like usual, providing free picks, leans, do some price talk as well, and what to avoid. Week off last week, so I won't go back 2 weeks and talk about it. I did not have a profitable week 2 weeks ago, snapping the streak at over 2 months straight in profitable cards. Small unit loss. It was half a unit loss. I forget why. Oh yeah, it was Rodriguez and Watterson not going the distance. Very surprised that did not go the distance. Let's do a UFC update here on the year. Full year, 61 and 30, 67%, guys. And that's an average line of plus money. Okay, this isn't, minus 250, minus 300, like you'll see some guys out there that bet that. Yeah, we don't bet that here. If we do, it's at a 2-5 parlay to get plus money. 68% 2-5 parlays, which I just mentioned. Over 70 units long-term in the market. Looking to end the season strong. Try to keep up the winning percentage high. Like I mentioned, when it's plus money, it's difficult to stay high in this percentage, but we have been able to do so far all year. NFL, great start to the year, guys. 4 and 4 profitable weeks. 4 weeks, 4 profitable, 69% all bets, and just under 10 units in profit. We're going for 5 for 5 this week. Don't think I've ever started a season 5 for 5 profitable NFL weeks. I don't think so. It could have been maybe years ago. I haven't as that I can remember. So hopefully we hit that. If you're following just on the videos and not a client, also very profitable. 8 and 1 free play underdog bets, guys. Hopefully I've been tailing there. A bunch of winners in my breakdowns that I give out as well. Follow those closely. There are a bunch of free winners in the breakdowns as well. If you're not following me, it comes out Friday videos. So UFC Thursday, Friday is the videos all over, right? YouTube, you don't have to watch, you can listen as well. I'm getting a bunch of listeners as well on Spotify and Apple podcasts, so I do appreciate that. Obviously, the numbers go down a little bit on YouTube, but you get some more traffic over on the other platform. I just need people to listen and watch. I don't really care about the numbers on certain platforms, as long as it's being spread out accordingly. PGA, right? Biggest year so far, we know, for the system. Over 28,000 in ticket value in the outright market, guys. 13 outrights, over 91 units in profit long-term in the prop market. NHL and NBA is around the corner. If you like volume, this is the best time to get on board. Starting October all the way to the end of the playoffs. Avoid slow gains in the stock market. If you're lucky, you get gains in the stock market. It's very slow, right? Very long-term. Big crashes in the crypto market. Start betting with the system. A long-term proven winner. If you've been following me for a long time, you guys know that. If you're new and may not know as much, just head over to my website. Everything's over there. Resumes. You can go back on these YouTube videos as well. I do updates all the time. Resumes over there. Client comments are important. Check out the client comments as well. Those are over the years, back 4 years ago. So check that out. I had a buddy send me his crypto wallet. Yeah, he tried like 5 coins, Bitcoin being one of them. He invested, I think, like 15,000, and look at the balance now, 4,400, guys. That doesn't happen with the system, right? I can guarantee profitable sports each year. Now, I can never guarantee how much it's going to be. You can't, right? I can't guarantee a certain amount how much it will be, but it's going to be a profitable year in the sport. How much? We don't know. Sometimes we have bigger years than others, of course. But it's guaranteed profit, right? The one guy that had this coin, this wallet here, He joined September in the system. He bets a little higher. I would say it's higher, $500 to $1,000 per bet. He's already up 11,000. Right? That's because he's betting obviously a higher amount. My system's usually 0.5 units and a unit. Some best bets are 2 units, of course. And then long shot outrights in the PGA market's a little less, right? So that's an example there, right? Head over to this website, systemsportscapping.com, or link.me/systemcapping. It's the same thing, maybe a little user-friendly over there. Subscription opportunities, record updates, resume, client comments, and more. System Capping on all social media. Like the media, guys. Like the video. It helps me out a ton. Helps me out a ton if you like this video. Let's hear from my friend Kristen before we get into this card.
For you sports bettors out there, let's be honest, you probably need a little bit of help beating those books. System Capping is a proven long-term winner against the sports betting market in multiple sports. He's built a worldwide clientele due to his high winning percentage over the years. Be sure to click the link on the bio down here to check out his profile, and you can also find out his resume, client comments, podcasts, and subscription opportunities. I'm going to be following him along too, so let's win some money together this season.
Shop around. Shop around, shop around, shop around. Have multiple books. Best advice I can give you week to week, guys. Books vary. Prices, outcomes, prop bets. They all vary. Have multiple books. Have money in multiple accounts if possible. Best way to beat the books long term. Let's get into the main event. Let's get into the main event. It's Dawson minus 400 versus Bobby Green plus 300. Big line here in the main event, and I get it. You know, Dawson will have a big grappling and wrestling advantage here. And anytime you do have that grappling and wrestling advantage, you see lines like this, right? This is a 5-round fight, which actually probably favors Bobby Green due to Dawson's cardio concerns in previous fights, right? Green's path would be to prolong this fight, get it deep into the fight, 4th, 5th round, and somehow, you know, Dawson gets tired and Green wins the fight. I think that's his only path here, right? That's Green's only path. He's not going to knock Dawson out on the feet. Doesn't really have the power to do so. Green's more of a volume guy that will try to, you know, pick his spots, try to box. Takedown defense is pretty solid, but we saw what Islam Makhachev did to him, right? We saw Islam just easily took him down and got the submission. I expect something similar here. Obviously, I'm not putting Dawson as Islam Makhachev level, but he's a very high level wrestler and grappler. 13 submissions for Dawson in his career. He has some big submission wins. Great wrestling though, great control, great hips. You know, I expect Dawson to be able to get Green down pretty much at any point he wants to in this fight. It wouldn't be smart to stand and bang with him. I think Dawson knows that. He knows his path is to get this fight down. Now, if Green could somehow avoid the submission in this fight or the TKO / ground and pound finish, yes, Dawson could get tired in this fight and Green could pull away due to have a cardio advantage here. It's just a long shot, right? I don't see that. We have Green has been submitted twice in his career. You know, I don't think Dawson really gets the love that he should. Just because he has been up and down in his career, maybe not the most exciting fighter, even though he can dominate with the grappling and wrestling, which I think can be exciting at times. He's 20-1, guys. No one really talks about it. He's 8-0 in the UFC with a draw. And he has beat some good guys, especially in his last fight against Usmagulov, right? That's a big win. I think Usmagulov is better than Bobby Green, just because he's more well-rounded than him. Right, so I don't think Dawson gets his love. And, you know, for Green, we know what Green is. I say now in his career more of a journey gatekeeper type of guy who could win fights. Right, he just beat Tony Ferguson, not a lot to say there, but Tony Ferguson at least put up a fight in that fight. Bobby Green is a guy that just wants to stand, bang with you, uses boxing and range, very quick on the feet. You know, his takedown defense, like I mentioned, it's not terrible. He can wrestle a little bit. But when you're getting to a higher level guy like Dawson just out-wrestled Mark Madsen, who's an Olympic wrestler, guys. He was able to take Mark Madsen down twice. So, he's going to be able to take Bobby Green down. I predict probably get a submission. It's a 5-round fight. Hard time seeing this go 5 rounds. I can see Dawson getting this fight down when he wants and probably getting a submission at some point, if not a TKO finish. So the play here is going to be on Dawson. Of course, don't love the price at minus 400. And if you want to shop around the outcome, right, you're playing with a little bit of fire because you're taking a chance of submission plus money or TKO finish. You could TKO finish him, right? Control him on the ground, TKO stoppage, it's possible. But submission probably be more of a look for me. Again, I can see it going either way, but I expect this fight not to go the distance and Dawson winning this fight at some point. Again, Bobby Green, love the guy, like the swag, like his boxing ability. Just not a great matchup for him. Even in his interview this week, he's like, yeah, I don't like this fight for me pretty much. He's saying Dawson's probably just going to take me down and, I want to just stand and bang with guys, and that's not going to happen here. Dawson's going to do what he does and, get this fight down to the ground and probably find a finish at some point. Fight for minus 450 versus Hassan plus 350. Another big line here, guys. Another big line. So you got to look at it. How is this fight going to play out to try to get a better price? 3 fights in the UFC, 3 KOs for Pfeiffer, right? So you expect this fight probably to have a finish at some point. How does Hassan fight? He fights by looking for a finish, having that big one-shot power, and that's pretty much his only path in this fight. I don't think he can out-wrestle Pfeiffer, even though Hassan does have some decent wrestling. Pfeiffer can wrestle as well, and he does have some high-level grappling. I do think he's a better grappler than Hassan. But again, Hassan's only path is to catch Pfeiffer. Right? So you have it at lower odds. You got to play the odds here. That's why Pfeiffer's minus 450. Minus 450 means he's probably going to finish the fight at some point, even though it's just a 3-round fight. Pfeiffer, like I mentioned, all 3 finishes in the UFC, and he's getting an opponent here who will come forward. He will fight. He will have KO's option there. The KO will be there throughout the fight, right? So, if you look at the outcome price, so you're looking at minus 200 for Pfeiffer to finish the fight. I never bet those. You can't bet an outcome at that high price, especially in a guy that just has 3 fights in the UFC against an active guy like Hassan who has power in his hands, right? So, this obviously is pricing me out of this fight. It's not going to make my client card. Obviously for the video purchase is going to be Pfeiffer to win the fight, probably by knockout as well, but you got to pay the price for it, right? We've seen Hassan be rocked before, and yeah, he could catch Pfeiffer and hurt him in this fight. That's why this price is a little too steep for me. I'll be staying away from it for clients. Play for video purposes, Pfeiffer, probably by finish as well. Buckley, minus 170 versus Morono, plus 140. Interesting one here. When you look at the fight, you say, yeah, Buckley should win this fight. He has the one-shot power, strength advantage, athleticism, can wrestle as well. But Moreno's a vet. He surprises me in a lot of his fights and how good he can be. He's durable, high-level BJJ, guys. If this fight does get down to the ground, I have trouble seeing him getting Buckley down to the ground, but if it does somehow get down to the ground, he has some high-level BJJ with some submissions under his belt, I think that would be his path here, or winning a close decision, right? If I do think it gets to the judges, Buckley's going to have the more meaningful shots, bigger shots, so I do think Buckley can steal one there. But Buckley can hurt Morono on the feet, catch him with a big shot, right? We have seen Morono hurt in the past, just 2 fights ago. Ponzinibbio finished him in the 3rd round. Buckley hits probably harder, right? So I get why Buckley's favored here. We've seen him hurt at times in fights. He's been finished 4 times, but Moreno just doesn't have that power to finish you on the feet, right? Moreno is going to have to find a submission or outpoint you. I think it's going to be a close fight, and because of that, I'm not going to bet Buckley here at minus 170. For video purposes, I'll look at Buckley minus 170, but it's tough to call an outcome. Very tough. We could see a finish in this fight. I could see it going to the judges' scorecards. I wouldn't be surprised how this fight plays out. And wouldn't be surprised if Moreno wins at a small dog plus 140. Getting a little older now. I think Buckley has improved, continues to improve fight to fight. So I do think he gets it done. Just tough to call how he's going to get it done. That's going to be a tough call here on an outcome. But I think Buckley has enough to hurt Moreno at some point and catch him with a big shot. And I don't see Morono getting this fight down to the ground. Tough to see him out wrestling Buckley to get this fight down to the ground to find a submission. If he does get it, I expect Buckley to just bounce back up. Dober, minus 450 versus Glenn, plus 350. We see another minus 400 here, which I think is a little overvalued. I don't think it should be minus 450, and it's very difficult to bet when it's at these prices, right? Very difficult. Dober's the right big favorite here. I have Dober maybe minus 300, 350. Problem with Glenn, I think he has skill. It's just he doesn't fight a ton. He barely fights. He has another job that he attends to. He fights, once a year, once every year and a half. He just doesn't fight a ton, right? Even though he does have a lot of fights, he is a veteran. I don't think he's a high-level guy. Dober's obviously fought the better guys in his career, but Glenn, he can be tricky. He has a little bit of a power, sneaky power on his feet. Lower volume though at 3.9 compared to Dober's 4.5. Right, Dober does have that advantage here in the power, I would think, on the feet. He does like to come forward, does leave his chin out there, but Dober's one tough son of a bitch, so Glenn's not going to knock him out. Right, it's going to be Dober wearing down Glenn, in my opinion. I expect Dober to win this fight. It's a big line, very difficult to bet, and it is difficult to pick how the fight's going to end. I lean the finish on Dober, but you're still going to have to pay up for that, right? The pricing on these favorites is just a little bit out of hand this week. And very difficult to bet, right? You're going to have to find it in a parlay if you like these favorites or an outcome. And like I mentioned, the outcomes are juiced as well. So it's difficult. Difficult to bet these big favorites here, even though if you do like them. Try to get creative, 2-5 parlays like I mentioned. Find an outcome here. But Dober Glenn outcome, lean the finish, but it's not for sure, right? We know Dober likes to finish fights, likes to come forward. So I do think he finds it at some point. But Glenn's fairly tough. We saw him get a draw with Dawson, who we just talked about. That was a big win. And why Dawson gassed in that fight, right? Dober, I wouldn't say he has the best cardio. So that could happen here. But Dober's the play for video purposes. Not going to get my client money. Again, the pricing is drawing me out of this fight. Fun one to open up the main card, and I do think there's some value with Hernandez at plus 125. I think it's been moving. I see some plus 110s out there, plus 115s. Good fight to open up the main card, right? Tough one to call, so I would have to look at the value. When I do my lines I just get the matchups, and then I do my own lines. I had this closer to 50-50. So I do think there is some value with Hernandez. I think Hernandez continues to get better after each fight. His cardio was concerning. It's getting better. He's a very well-rounded guy. He's very athletic, likes to come forward. He has been hurt at times. He's fighting a lot higher level guys than Algio as well, right? 2-3 in his last 5 fights, which isn't impressive. Some good guys, right? Billy Q, tough fight. Renato, tough fight. Moises, tough fight. Right, Algio's fighting lower level guys. TJ Brown, Herbert Burns, Burrito are his wins. When he stepped up a little bit in competition, it was Andre Fili. He lost a fight. Right, I put Hernandez and Fili at similar levels. I think Hernandez beats all 3 guys that Algio beat, and that's why I see some value at plus 125. Probably you can get even better price if you look at the decision, because I do think Hernandez isn't really known for finishing fights, and Algio's one tough son of a bitch. Right? So that's how Algio wins fights. He prolongs the fight. He's not a one-shot power guy. He's a guy that'd be able to take shots, move in and out, slip jabs here and there, and win the fight through pressure and being tough and durable. So that's why I do expect if you bet this fight and like the plus money on Hernandez, it's going to be a sweat. It's probably going to go to the judges. It's going to be close. You're backing, hopefully, the judges take Hernandez. I think Hernandez possibly lands the bigger shots in this fight and is coming forward more. So I think the judges will recognize that. But again, it's the judges, right? You'd be backing the judges here. But I'm just saying there's value here at this price at plus 125 for me to look at that and possibly make a client card for a smaller unit play. But when I expect the fight to be super close and it's in the judge's hands, hey, you're playing with a little fire there. But yeah, play is going to be Hernandez due to the price and the value here. Good fight to open up the main card. That will do it, guys. That will do it. UFC 80 back at the Apex. Check out my NFL video coming out tomorrow. We're rolling in the NFL and all sports right now. Get on board. Get on board with the client service. It's the best way to profit long term in the sports betting market. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.